The sea was calm, unnaturally calm, as if the world had fallen into a breathless pause. Then, out of the thick morning fog, she emerged, the widow's grin, her sails black as midnight, stitched with bones, gliding across the water with a grace that defied her monstrous size. Sailors in every port swore she was cursed, a ghost ship captained by a man who'd escaped death too many times. That man was Captain Silas Thorne, once a decorated officer in the Royal Navy, now the most feared pirate ever to sail the Eastern Atlantic. He bore no flag, pledged loyalty to no crown. With a long coat tattered by war and a blade carved from obsidian, he'd carved a bloody path across the Caribbean. But his goal was not gold, nor glory. Tonight, he was heading for Merrow Cay, an island struck from every map, surrounded by shipwrecks and the cries of those who dared approach it. What Thorne sought lay buried deep beneath its black sands. A treasure cursed by time, protected by the spirits of the betrayed, and marked with a single blood-soaked warning: take and be taken. Below deck, the crew stirred in silence.
No singing, no dice, no ram.
These were not the boisterous drunks you'd find on any common pirate vessel. Thorne's crew were different. Men branded by past sins, fugitives, orphans, and those who had nothing left to lose. They were drawn to him not by charm, but by something older. Some said he could read the stars like scripture. Others whispered that he'd once slit a sea witch's throat and still carried her cursed locket around his neck. And now, with Merrow Cay just hours away, the crew dared not question the storm clouds gathering above. Among them was Elias Crow, a young mapmaker with trembling hands and too many secrets. He had been hired for his skill, but Thorne had his eyes on him for another reason, a reason even Elias didn't know yet. As the island's silhouette sharpened in the fog, the air grew colder. The sea turned from blue to black, and in the distance, the sound of drums, slow, hollow, ancient, rose from beneath the waves. Captain Thorne stood unmoved at the bow, coat flaring in the rising wind, eyes fixed on the island like a man staring down the face of a long-lost enemy. His first mate, Briggs, a one-eyed brute with a voice like gravel, approached cautiously. "We anchor in soon, Captain?" Briggs asked, eyeing the clouds rolling in like dark hands. Thorne didn't answer immediately. His fingers traced the edge of the witch's locket, the cold metal biting into his skin. "No anchor," he said. "We land and burn the ship." Briggs flinched. "Burn it, sir?" Thorne nodded. "We don't leave with it. Not this time." Silence followed. The crew heard the command and froze. In the pirate code, burning one's ship was a vow. Either you returned victorious or not at all. And for a pirate, that was madness. But Thorne knew what awaited them on Merrow Cay. The island would not allow them to escape twice. He had been there before long ago, and it had taken something from him that no man should lose and still walk the earth. Merrow Cay revealed itself slowly, like a wound surfacing through skin. Jagged rocks clawed out of the sea like broken teeth, and the shoreline shimmered with unnatural mist. The jungle beyond swayed without wind, heavy with shadows that moved when no one did. As the longboats hit the beach, Thorne stepped onto the cursed land first, boots crunching against ash-colored sand. Behind him, his crew followed, their eyes darting between the twisted trees and half-buried skeletons. Among them, Elias Crow clutched his satchel tighter. The map he carried was unlike any other, drawn with ink that shimmered red under moonlight, its symbols older than any compass rose. "This place," Elias whispered. "It shouldn't exist." Thorne glanced back at him. "Neither should we." Then, without another word, the crew pressed forward, vanishing into the green maw of the jungle, following the cursed path where no wind blew and even birds dared not sing. From the cliffs above, something ancient watched. They moved in single file, the thick vines grabbing at their ankles like fingers. Each man felt it. The air was heavier here, soaked with memory and malice. The jungle was deathly quiet, yet full of whispers, as though the trees themselves were murmuring in a forgotten tongue. Elias stumbled as his boot caught on something. He looked down and froze. Half buried in moss was a pirate's skull, its jaw locked open in a silent scream. But what turned his blood cold was the mark carved into the bone. A spiral of thorns. The same mark that burned on the locket Thorne wore. As if summoned by thought, Thorne appeared beside him. "He made it this far," Thorne muttered, kneeling beside the skull. "But the island doesn't like thieves. It remembers." Elias stepped back, his voice shaky. "What is this place really, Captain?" Thorne stared ahead into the trees. "It's not about what it is, boy. It's about what it took. And what I came to take back." Hours passed. Time lost meaning beneath the suffocating canopy. Shadows lengthened in impossible directions, and compasses spun in circles. Even the sun seemed to dim the deeper they marched. Finally, they reached it, a clearing swallowed by ruins. At the center stood an altar of coral and bone, engraved with runes glowing faintly red. The treasure didn't glitter, pulsed. Resting atop the altar was a chest wrapped in chains, each link forged with melted gold and human bone. Thorne stepped forward, every part of him tense, as if the air itself resisted his movement. Elias grabbed his arm. "We shouldn't. This isn't treasure. This is something else." Thorne didn't look at him. "It's my brother." The crew stiffened. Briggs cursed under his breath. "You're what?" Thorne pointed to the runes. "He tried to take the treasure alone, left me behind. The island punished him. His soul's inside that box. I came to end it." Then he drew his blade and stepped into the circle, sealing their fate. The moment Thorne crossed into the circle, the jungle screamed, not with sound, but with pressure, like 1,000 invisible hands pushing outward. The altar's glow brightened, casting shadows that danced on their own. The crew backed away instinctively. Thorne raised his blade, but before he could strike the chains, the ground shook and the trees leaned inward, creaking like old ships in a storm. From behind the altar rose a shape, tall, cloaked in seaweed and bone, with eyes like molten tar. It was not his brother. It was what had taken him, the warden of the treasure. Its voice wasn't heard. It was felt inside their skulls. "You are bound by blood, Thorne. The oath cannot be undone." Elias screamed as the runes flared red-hot, his map catching fire in his hands without flame. The creature turned to him. "The boy carries the path, but not the price." Thorne shouted, "Take me! Let him go!" The creature paused, then smiled. "No one leaves who does not pay." Lightning cracked the sky as the altar split open. From within rose not gold, but a tangle of bones and chains wrapped around a decaying body. Thorne's brother, eyes open, lips stitched shut. Elias collapsed, clutching his head as visions flooded his mind. Ships sinking, men burning, Thorne standing alone at sea, cursing the gods. Briggs turned to run, but roots burst from the ground, wrapping his legs and dragging him into the earth. One by one, the crew was taken, except Elias and Thorne. The warden stepped back into shadow, whispering, "Blood for blood, soul for soul." Thorne turned to Elias, eyes hollow. "You were the map. You were always the price." Elias gasped, "You used me." Thorne nodded. "Forgive me." He threw the burning locket at the boy's feet. The circle pulsed once. Then everything went black. When Elias awoke, he was alone on the beach. The ship was gone. The treasure vanished. Only the whisper of the wind remained. "Take and be taken."